Welcome back, guys. We are now on video 3 for chapter 11. We're still working to expand the real GDP, only now it's happening automatically. Now, when we say automatically, it means Congress doesn't get together and try to concoct some sort of new way to stimulate the economy. The system is already preset. The tools are already incorporated into the system that allows it to behave this way. So what's going on? We again need to raise the real GDP. Why we have this beautiful big open view here, the open terrain that we're looking at, because we're looking to push out, right? We're looking to expand. One, there's something recessionary going on. Either the economy is slowing down or the economy is already officially into a recession and the system just begins to rebalance itself. I will remind you that automatic fiscal policy is nowhere near as powerful as discretionary. This is why it is not enough on its own. So if I ask you, how come automatic fiscal policy is not enough on its own? It is nowhere near as strong or powerful or impactful. So on top of it, you really still need, the discretionary. Now think of automatic fiscal policy as like your built-in immune system. But sometimes you still need medication, sometimes you still need a procedure, sometimes you still need an ointment, on top of it, above and beyond. So all that above and beyond your built-in, immunity system is discretionary. But your own immunity system, just naturally taking care of things from within, that is automatic. Now remember, this action is incorporated into the system, meaning nobody is taking any deliberate, it's just happening on its own. How? In this case, the government spending will rise automatically and the taxes will drop automatically, and it will happen at the same time. But what specifically? With transfer payments right here, when it comes to the government actually, let's change the color to help it pop for you. So what's happening here is, look, when the economy is weakening and people are getting laid off, what do, right? I mean, you get laid off. Okay, first you cry, then you fill out the form that says, I have been laid off and for no fault of my own, this is cyclical unemployment, and therefore I qualify for unemployment compensation. And you fill out a form and now you're getting for X number of weeks, usually 26 weeks or so, a check until you find a job, right? This is not the only thing that's happening. People are asking for housing assistance. People are asking for food stamps. People might go on welfare. People might be asking all kinds of things. Just change. The people, SSI, some people retire early. They're like, the heck with it. I'm almost of retirement age. I'm let go. I'm just going to file for Social Security early. So what happens is the government begins to automatically send out more checks to people. And those checks are increasing on their own naturally government spending. So that's the automatic part. Taxes drop out automatically for this reason right here. Okay? What's happening is we have a progressive income tax system. What does that mean that it's progressive? The higher the income, the more people pay in income taxes as a percentage. And the lower the income, the lower they pay as a percentage. And so when people are being laid off or what is it called? Not full-time, overtime. When their overtime is being taken away, or when they're asked to be, their bonus is taken away, or when they're given a pay cut for a while, or they're being sent home on a furlough where they get no income for 2 weeks out of the year, all that is reducing people's income. When it comes to tax time and they want to file for taxes, a couple of things are going to happen. Either more people are now contributing less in taxes overall because the income they're being taxed at has a lower rate in addition to fewer dollars, just as percentages work. But you also have people who now begin to qualify for negative income taxes, which is basically an earned income tax credit. Now you have dependents, your income has dropped a lot, you did work a portion of the year at least, you qualify, and now you're going to get back, it's called negative income tax, because you're getting back more in taxes than you actually paid in for some people. All those things mean automatically, naturally, because the income is dropping for certain people, so are the taxes that they have to actually contribute. That's the automatic part. Now when it is rather contractionary, right? When it's contractionary, what's going on? In this case, we're looking at that narrow street again. we're still aiming to reduce what? What is that thing that's rising? We want to reduce it. Inflation. So what's the goal? To lower inflation by reducing the real GDP, only nobody has to do it deliberately. What we're trying to do here is we have inflationary phases, the economy is overheating, then the system is set up to try and cool down that inflation. Only it's not very impactful on its own. Kind of like, your body can battle a cold better than it can battle COVID. It might be able to battle COVID worse than it, in a way it cannot battle Ebola, God forbid, So what we're saying here is how much can the system in its function, in the way that it has been built to function, preempt or stem what's happening to the economy from high inflation? Well, marginally. There's only so much that it can actually do. And the way it works in this case is government spending drops automatically. So this is the part where transfer payments drop, right? So there are fewer people who can qualify. If unemployment is dropping and income are rising, which is what happens when you have high inflation issues often, it's not 100% of the time, depends on whether it is demand side or cost push, right? Whether it's demand pull or cost push, demand side or supply side inflation. Well, that's going to make a difference. But what we're looking at here is you have an unemployment rate that is actually quite low. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know. I had something pop. It didn't need to. So we were discussing contractionary, discretionary fiscal policy, and we were saying here the unemployment rate is too low, and so fewer people qualify for transfer payments. So when we're talking about down here, right? So when we're talking about now there are fewer people who are going to be able to qualify for unemployment compensation or subsidies on their homes or anything like that, there will be fewer people who qualify for that. And because there are fewer people who qualify for that, then the government is dishing out less. So they're spending less automatically. That's basically what we are looking at here. Okay, so in this one, we're going to talk about the progressive income taxes. Progressive income taxes are going to rise naturally. If you have people with greater income, and this is what's basically going on, then you're going to end up with fewer people paying the lower rates and more people paying the higher rates. And as this happens, it eats away at people's income, which means it eats away at people's disposable income, because the lower the net income, if you remember from before, the lower the disposable income. And this is going to generate, is going to cut back on some of the spending, and therefore we end up with less inflation. So what we are really saying here is less spending leads to lower inflation. Now, obviously, if this is going to be cost push inflation, this is not a good enough measure, and we will talk about that in the future some more. Okay, what we have here to discuss are budgets, so I'm going to stop this video right here. When we come back, we'll pick it up right here from budget deficits.